But doesn't applause make you feel so good? It makes me feel good. And when you think about what a great sales call looks like, it's that positive mindset and where you've helped someone. Might be that where you thought you were going to struggle, you were able to find an opportunity and provided a grower a new way to look at what he was having or she was having difficulty with. Today I want to talk with you a little bit about fear, and we're going to tie it specifically to what perhaps might be going on today in regards to an objection that you're running into. Let me first start with fear. Fear causes just a lot of things in our life. In a previous program, I discussed, what God promises about fear. And we talked about the parable of the talents. And then we discussed what fear really does. And you took a real quick assessment that I had you take as I verbally provided you 9 questions. And I shared that, fear really paralyzes us. Fear can paralyze us and really cause us, stress that's unneeded. It can cause headaches. It can cause stomach aches. It can cause just a lot of really rough things in our lives. And when on a sales call, when we're fearful of a customer bringing up an objection or something that may come up, it causes us to be silent. It can cause us to be defensive. It can cause us to oftentimes agree with the farmer about his stance because we would rather be liked by the farmer than respected. So fear does a lot of different things, and we do a lot of assessment work, and I think it's sometimes helpful for you to understand what fear really does to you on a sales call. So I want you to think of the last time that you felt like a farmer was going to push back on a price or an idea, or maybe you felt like they had another option they were going to go to. And let's just kind of up the ante a little bit, and let's talk about a customer that you don't want to lose. It might be a customer that you sell quite a bit of product to, and now they're potentially going to leave you. Can you feel the fear that you're having right now by me just bringing that up? And here's what fear does to us. As a weakness in a sales call, it occurs. What happens is when it occurs is we do a lot of worrying, and we can worry before we even get to the call. Think about the last time you had to make a call that you were concerned about losing, or handling a customer that you were concerned about leaving. So you did a lot of worrying, you did a lot of strategizing. Now I think strategizing can be helpful in terms of the options we're going to be presenting to that farmer, but when I talk about strategizing, what if they do this? What if they leave me? What if they bring up this product? What if they say that they're going to buy, that I need to lower my price of whatever product? What am I going to do then? And so we panic. And that panic can sometimes happen real quick on a sales call. I mean, you thought the call was going pretty well, and then the farmer brings up something that causes you to panic. What do? Well, you lose control. We don't do a good job listening. We don't do as good a job of asking questions. We usually get more silent. Sometimes we can become more pushy. Sometimes we can get more excitable. And so all what fear does is it gets in our own heads. And what it prevents you from being and doing is to be able to listen and to ask really good questions and to ask problem and implication questions. So that's what fear does. Now, in this program, I'm going to share with you one approach, one skill that can really help you diffuse panic, worry, becoming excited, and actually diffusing the customer in regards to an objection that they're bringing up. Are you ready? Are you ready to do some writing? One of the best things that you can do when someone says, I think I'm going to cut that out of my program, or I don't think I need that, or I think I'm going to go over to XYZ brand. And all I want you to do is to remember these words. Well, Joe, Cindy, that's one of your options. Did you hear what I just said? You're right. That's one of your options. Notice that I didn't sound excited. I hope it came across that I was empathetic. I wasn't sympathetic, but I was empathetic. So your tonality matters. But all I said was, you're right. That's one of your options. So write that down. You're right. That's one of your options. Now the second item that I'd like you to write down, or the second step, is those famous words, can I ask you a question? Can I ask you a question? Now, I'm going to pull back a little bit, and I'm just going to use an example, because examples are often what makes the skills that I provide you really stick, because then you see, okay, now I could see how it might work. So let's just say that a farmer says that I'm going to eliminate that seed treatment. I don't think I need it. And where somebody that's fearful might say is, okay, whatever you want. And so we sound then like, well, I mean, do we really care? We're not even listening to why the farmer is potentially eliminating. That doesn't work. Or one of the things that somebody that fearful might say is they can become really defensive, and they might say something like that. Well, that's crazy. I can't believe you're doing that. Well, that's not very empathetic, and we're not asking very many questions. So what I want to do here is when the farmer says, I think I'm going to cut that out of my seed program. I don't think I need to spend the X amount of dollars on a seed treatment this year. I'm going to say, you're right. That's one of your options, Joe. Can I ask you a quick question? Well, sure. I totally understand that at first glance that eliminating seed treatments may be a place to cut this year. But the question I'd like us to really consider now, and I'd really like you to really listen to this question, and let's get our pencil out and let's do the math. Could we do that, Joe? Well, yeah, David. Well, the question I have is, how many acres would you have to replant or have a reduced stand to pay for the seed treatment you're considering cutting today? Now, do you notice what I just did? I was empathetic. I said one of your options is to cut. Can I ask you a question? I let him know that the question was going to be a powerful one and a really important one. I wanted him to listen. I wanted him to even begin to think of the math. And that question is how many acres would you have to replant or have a reduced stand to pay for that seed treatment? You see, when we do the math, we take it from what I call an emotional decision to one that is a business decision. Now, what the example I gave you is focused now on seed or seed treatment. It could certainly be used in a lot of what I would call real-life situations where people are potentially going to cut. I'm cutting today because corn's down to $3.38. Well, that's sure you're right. One of your options would be to cut. But before we make that cut, could I ask you a couple questions? Isn't that a different way of handling it than someone that is just selling stuff to farmers? That's a big time difference, isn't it? So I really want you to think back of what causes us to be fearful. And we get in our own heads, we get in our own way. We're concerned about losing. And what we really need to be putting in our mind is helping our customers, our farmers, win. And winning may be doing the math and coming to the conclusion that in that particular farm, that particular situation, it makes total sense to cut. But there are other situations where that would be the last thing that we would want to consider doing. And that is all about staying in control of the call, not panicking, not being fearful, but asking the question, you're right, That's one of your options. Can I ask you a question? How many acres would you have to replant? How many acres would you have to respray? How many acres would you have to see a 6-bushel yield loss if we took that out of your program? You see how powerful that is? Gang, don't be fearful. Don't be concerned about losing. Be concerned about helping your farmer customer win. It's been great to be on the tailgate with you again today. Take care, be strong, and make a difference. We'll talk to you next time on the tailgate.